Look at this machine tearing itself apart. For decades, researchers tried to build vehicles that could punch a physical human body through time. They failed. The physical mass of a person, bones, blood, metal, requires too much energy to push backward. The physics of the universe simply reject it. I took a different route. Instead of sending my body, I digitized my consciousness and cast it forward, entirely weightless, to the year 2050. The world I arrived in had solved our biggest systemic problems. They ran on unlimited, clean energy grids and possessed medical treatments that eradicated major diseases. I didn't need to smuggle a physical fusion reactor back with me. I just downloaded the exact quantum blueprint detailing how to build one. Extracting information sidesteps the physical mass limits of reality. You avoid the impossible task of pushing matter backward through the decades, and instead, you simply copy the future's code and bring it home. When my consciousness snapped back to my desk in 2026, I pulled the data from a high-density terminal and dropped it straight onto a standard, everyday USB drive. The math was straightforward. Hand this single blueprint over to engineers today, and we immediately skip 24 years of trial, error, and costly research. We construct the 2050 clean energy grid right now. It is an incredibly strange feeling to sit in a dark room holding a mathematical guarantee of a utopia. The hard work was already done, sitting quietly in the palm of my hand. But I made a fatal oversight in how I viewed that drive. I treated the blueprint as a passive text file, waiting to be read. I failed to realize that in the mechanics of time, information is an active, structural piece of reality. I plugged the drive into my 2026 laptop. The system immediately rejected the file, flashing red and kicking back a specific error: 0% compatibility, unknown origin. Think of the timeline as a computer compiler, reading historical inputs and executing events in a strict, logical order. This animated diagram maps the linear path of our reality from 2026 to 2050. Introducing future data into the past creates an information paradox, an ontological loop. It's a fatal logic error, fed directly into the universal compiler. Step A. Let's assume my new code executes successfully. Deploying 2050 technology today immediately changes the state of 2026. Step B. Because 2026 is vastly different, the specific, delicate chain of events that built the original utopia never happens. Step C. If that specific version of 2050 no longer exists, I could never have traveled there to find the blueprint in the first place. Step D. We reach the end of the logic loop. If I didn't travel to 2050 to retrieve the data, the code sitting on my desk cannot logically exist. These paradoxes represent hard mathematical limits, infinite logic loops that the universal compiler simply cannot execute. What happens to the physical data when that logic fails? I didn't have to look at a theoretical diagram to find out. I watched it happen live on my screen. The pristine lines of the 2050 blueprint started spontaneously deleting themselves line by line. The code physically dissolved, turning into digital dust before entirely vanishing. We expect the timeline to act as a passive road we drive back and forth on. Instead, it operates as an aggressive immune system responding to an existential threat. The logic loop I introduced was about to break the sequence of cause and effect. To prevent reality from entirely crashing, the universe deployed its only method of resolution. It forcefully erased the offending data. This localized tech failure is actually a display of the underlying physics governing the entire universe. The universe functions as a massive operating system, and this digital erasure is its built-in firewall. Physicists call it cosmic self-correction. This firewall enforces one absolute rule: causality must be preserved at all costs. Any variable that threatens to create a paradox is actively hunted down, isolated, and neutralized. Engineering a vehicle or digitizing your consciousness to travel backward is only a fraction of the challenge. To successfully extract information from the future, you have to negotiate with causality itself. My attempt failed. The 2026 timeline remains perfectly intact and safe, but the utopian future data I tried to inject is permanently gone, corrected out of existence. The challenge of time travel has moved past the engineering of the jump and into the realm of bypassing the universe's antivirus software. If the universe automatically targets and deletes paradoxical information, how do you manage to save the code before time corrects the error? Reality is actively protecting itself from our interference. Drop your solutions in the comments below, and let's see if anyone can crack the firewall.